Ken actually is a good friend of Eric Lindgren from the Birdsongs of the Mesozoic, and I was quite pleased when Eric suggested you really got to get in touch with this guy because he's amazing, and I ended up luckily connecting with him, and then just spending the last couple of weeks listening to his music, and it's just a lot of fun. I'm sure you guys will have a great time tonight, and so welcome, Ken. Thank you for joining us, and maybe just start by giving us a little bit of your background in terms of, how music became a part of your life. Did you come from a musical family? What was that seminal moment when you said, "I want to be a musician when I grow up"? Just love to hear a little bit of that background story.
Yeah, I decided that I wanted to be a musician when I grew up. I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before. Uh, Eventually, I'm going to grow up. I think that that'll
Okay.
be that'll be a good thing to look forward to. I got started playing the clarinet when I was 10 by my parents, who thought that that would be a good thing for me and my siblings to learn an instrument. But I will say my father was not a musician, not musically inclined, didn't really listen to music. My mom had done some music when she was younger. She had played in a mandolin orchestra in New York City, where she grew up. And But music was not something that they considered to be, as many parents think, that music is not a career, a viable career. And so I played clarinet from age 10 on through high school. I was pretty good. I practiced. I was kind of compulsive about practicing,
Yeah.
um, and played in some of the regional, the local All Shore in New Jersey All Shore Band and the All State Band, and got to college, and I proceeded to break my front tooth by running into a door,
Ah,
uh,
ouch.
tooth first,
Okay.
which kind of put a little crimp in my clarinet playing, as you
Hmm.
can imagine. And
Yeah. No embouchure, right?
yeah, it really wasn't a good thing for clarinetists to do,
Mm.
in retrospect.
Hmm.
But I then took up the flute. That you can play flute without any teeth, right? And
Really?
I'm
Did
planning
not
on
know
it when I
that.
get older and lose my teeth. In fact, I have a little image, a little drawing of me at age whatever, 80, 90, with no teeth.
I would love to see that sometime. You'll have
Yeah.
to show that to us.
Uh, um, and I eventually took up. I fell in with some people I went to school in Providence. Fell in with some people who were doing some interesting music. Some Frank Zappa, some uh, John Coltrane,
Mm.
McCoy Tyner.
Mhm.
Just really out. Captain Beefheart. Some interesting stuff. And they
Yeah.
taught me a lot about improvisational music. I really didn't have any sense of improvising when I was growing up,
Mm.
even in high school, and there was no sense of a stage band or jazz program at that point in my
Hmm.
life. And so I started in college, when I started playing flute. I started jamming with blues musicians, and just sort of learning by ear, picking up how you pick out notes that work. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I did that for a while. Started playing with these people, and then eventually picked up a saxophone. The saxophone, as it turns out, the embouchure is a little different, so it works better with the fake tooth I now have in front,
Uh-huh.
the front top tooth. Um,
So would you recommend you should break a tooth and replace it with a fake tooth? That's good for sax players. That's like a good technique there.
well, it worked for me.
There you
What can I
go.
say? Everybody's
All right.
different, but
Maybe boxers have another career after their boxing
yeah,
career.
yeah, it might, maybe. So I eventually I studied computer science in college, and started working in the computer industry. I worked for some very interesting companies. Took some time off, went to Berkeley College of Music, in between two different computer positions, and learned an awful lot.
Oh
I
yeah.
studied with Joe Viola, the really famed saxophone instructor at Berkeley,
Mm.
the late Joe Viola, who really made a huge difference in my life, and learned enough at Berkeley to sort of function in a variety of musical situations, not necessarily shine, but function and not embarrass myself. And that gave me the ability to jump into different kinds of situations and learn on the job,
That's
which I've been
great.
doing and continue to do.
So you weren't a full-time musician at one point. You were working in the computer field. But so what was it that finally said made you think I should dedicate my whole life to music? How did that? Was there like a moment where that took place, or it just kind of
Yeah, there
evolved
was a
out of your
moment
life?
that took place because they asked me to leave.
Well, there you go. That's that one door closes, another opens.
Yeah, so break your front tooth
Oh,
and then get fired. You know, I didn't really get fired. I ended up in a very nice position at
yeah.
a company called Bolt Beranek and Newman (BBN)
Oh, of
in
course. Yeah.
near Fresh Pond in Cambridge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing company. They were involved in the early internet development. I was working doing speech processing, digital speech processing,
Oh, wow.
doing programming real-time systems for speech recognition, speech
Mhm.
synthesis, and bitrate compression systems. Very interesting work, very heady.
Yeah.
I did that for a while. Then I moved on to some other things, to computing resource management at the company. Um, but I ended up being able to work part-time there through a variety of circumstances that maybe we don't have time to get into. But
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and I had a staff under me, all working full-time, and I was working part-time. I got a new boss who didn't really like that I was part-time, and
Hmm.
it was a very relaxed place for a while, but then it kind of transitioned to more of a
Ah,
formal situation, and he didn't like that. He offered me the opportunity to go full-time. I didn't really want to at that point. I was
right.
very happy with what I was doing and playing music part-time and working
Yeah.
part-time.
So it sounds like a wonderful transition, kind of the transition
Yeah,
here because you were working part-time, you were able to do the music and that just took over and the rest
yeah,
is
but
history, as they say.
he wanted me to go full-time, and then said if I didn't want to go full-time, I mean,
Yeah.
I actually found some other opportunities at the company to stay part-time, but I realized he was willing to lay me off, which meant
Yeah.
I got a little severance package.
There you go.
And if I were to leave as a result of his insistence I go full-time. So I took that.
Yeah.
And it was a risk. It was a big risk because who knows? But it all worked out very well.
That's awesome.
I was very lucky. You know,
You
I
know,
ended
I
up.
worked at IBM and they gave me a severance package that was amazing.
Mhm.
Actually, I didn't qualify for it, but I wanted to take it, so it was so amazing. My son was 2. I thought I'd spend some time with him. And I tried to write music for a year and make a profession out of it. It's hard to do in 1 year.
Yeah.
And I actually had this concept for a new Tonight Show theme song, but I could never get Jay Leno's manager to listen to it. And so I
You
got a lot of
know.
great experience out of it, but I didn't get it very far. So years later, I
Well,
met him and I played it for him. He said, "That's a great tune, but I had nothing to do with the music. So sorry, it wouldn't have mattered anyway." But
wow.
uh, but you
Wow.
made it. You made a transition and really went through. That's awesome. So
Well,
kudos to you.
I was very fortunate, and I'm grateful to people like Eric Lindgren, who is here today, for for letting me join Birdsongs of the Mesozoic,
Yeah.
and other things that I've had the opportunity to do. So
Now, it's interesting. Your career was very intellectual, and I think of jazz as being a very intellectual thing. I mean, Joe Mulholland recently was showing me a riff he was playing on top of just a simple C7 chord that blew me away. It had every other note in the galaxy in it, and he was up and down on the piano, and oh my God, it just like my head almost exploded watching him. So, I mean, when I think of jazz, I think it's probably one of the most intellectual music, genres out there. So
well,
kudos to you.
I will respond to that by saying that yeah, there's a lot of theory, and there's a lot of but there's a lot of jazz musicians who just do it by ear and by gut,
Yeah,
and that is also a part of jazz. And if you're playing jazz from a purely intellectual perspective, you might want to reconsider, because there's a lot of emotion and there's a lot of gut that goes into playing any kind of music,
yeah,
but
yeah,
jazz
yeah.
as well. And
Hmm.
I would say that one of the a piece of advice that I've heard, lots of jazz musicians give. I forget who, um, that you learn all the stuff and then you forget it and you just play. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's the idea.
Excellent. Well, I apologize in advance. I'm actually at work still, and I was in an operating room all afternoon on a medical device, and I cannot get into the Ethernet directly because we do government work, and I'm on a personal computer, which I didn't realize. So we're doing Wi-Fi, so hopefully this will all work. But let me first share the screen and there's so many things we could share and review tonight. But Ken and I tried to figure out what are the ones that are probably most seminal, to talk about tonight. So I thought I'd start. Is it okay with you if I start with the dance one first? Is that okay? The
The
Bridgman dance, Packer dance, or did you want to start with "Got It" by by Ken Field? What would you like to do?
You know, it's all good. I'm happy if you start with "I Got It," or if you want to start with "Under the Skin." That's fine. It's all.
Yeah, let's do
all good.
Bridgman. I just love. By the way, I don't know if you want to talk about anything beforehand, but
Sure.
the visuals are amazing because they seem to overlay, and I don't know how they did it, but it's just as amazing as the music. The two together
Well,
work out really well.
I will say something about this. So I had this great opportunity to work with Bridgman Packer Dance. It's a dance duo. They're actually a married couple, and they work with projections of themselves, and they're very creative. They started out by working with shadows, but then they started working with video projections of themselves. So it was like kind of layered.
Wow. There's only two people in this thing? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not catch that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really going to enjoy this now.
So I actually, you know, through a whole series of circumstances, I met them at a meeting, conference of the National Performance Network, and someone named Jefferson James introduced me and said, "You should meet these people." And she introduced me to Myrna Packer. And I gave Myrna Packer a CD of mine, the CD Pictures of Motion, in which I had layered myself, and never heard from them for, you know, like a year. And a year later, I get a call, and they're like, "We're about to go off on a tour to," I forget where they were going, to Europe or something, "but we're putting in a proposal for our next project, and we'd like to incorporate your music." And I'm like, "Wow, that's great." And so
Love it.
what I realized is what they do in video, I do in music. So that's what
Yes.
it's all about.
Oh my God. Well, here goes some of it. I love that. I didn't realize it was just two people. I guess I should have paid more attention. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
That is
and
great.
that actually was a piece called, I think it's called Slots or Slits in the Curtain. It has two different names. But yeah, and that was done with layering the saxophone. And they toured widely in Europe and in Mexico, and they brought me along, and I played one of the parts, and the others were pre-recorded. I usually don't like playing with pre-recorded parts, but this actually worked really well. So
yeah. So now, when you worked with them, did they first show you some of the dance, or
no.
was it the opposite, where they said, "Write the music and we'll figure out the choreography to it," or was it a little
Yeah.
both?
Yeah, it was good. That's a great question, because you know, I would have loved if they'd showed me the dance and then I wrote the music. That would, you know, give me a little structure, give me a little sense of what to do. But they didn't. They said, "We're going to do this kind of in parallel, and you write some music, then we'll try to do some dance, and then we'll, you know, go back and forth." And they were in New York, I was in Boston, so you know, it was a little challenging, but we talked a lot. You know, they gave me some tempos, some concepts. I said, "Give me, you know, 5 words that describe what you're trying to get across." So, you know, we ended up with a lot of back and forth, and eventually came up with some of that material.
That's cool. Now you said, "Give me 5 words." Do you happen to remember what those words were?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, yeah.
I wrote them down.
That's an interesting concept. Is that something you do often, where you say, you know, describe it in words, and then I'll come up with it? So
yeah, when I'm writing, you know, I've been asked, not a lot, but sometimes, to write soundtrack music for a film or for
Yeah.
My late wife Karen Aqua, her animation, and
Mm.
describing what somebody wants in music in words is hard. I mean, how do you
Yeah.
describe what you want in music without singing the music or whatever? Music is its own thing. Words are their own thing, and words
Sure.
don't necessarily describe, in an unambiguous way, what
Oh.
somebody has in their head in terms of the music, right? I mean,
So I'm thinking the words that come to mind might be upbeat, fun, syncopated for this one, for this particular
yeah.
piece. Or
So
whatever,
so I asked for a few words, a few phrases, and that, it's not definitive, it's not unambiguous, but it's helpful to have somebody say, these are some things, some words that come to mind when I think of the music that I want for this. Because usually when people are doing a dance or doing film, they're hearing some kind of music in their head, but how they communicate that to you, it's kind of impossible. So, yeah.
That's great. How about this? Got it. I know we wanted to start with that originally, and this is a nice upbeat thing too, I believe.
Yeah,
What did you
I got it.
say something about this?
Yeah, I'll say something about this. So I Got It is a piece I wrote at a composing residency in a place called Valparaiso. It was a artists in residence program in Spain, in near Andalusia, and amazing place. Great opportunity to go there and be. A lot of these artist residencies, they feed you, they give you a place to live, they give you a studio to work in, they give you a piano. So I had all of that, and in the, I don't know what it was, 2 weeks, a month, I forget, it was a while ago. I wrote this one piece, one short piece, because you can't order up creativity, right? So. And I was thinking on this piece, I want to do something with a bass line that is sort of Professor Longhair-ish. And so I came up with this little bass line that I think kind of does it. And I alternated with a little melodic line that then goes to some space in the melody. And I also it's based on a blues form, which is usually the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. But instead, I use the 1 chord, the 3 chord, and the 4 chord. Instead of 1 4 5, I did 1 3 4. Then I throw the 5 in at the end. So that's what this song is about. I
noticed you also have it tagged for New Orleans. Is it a New Orleans influence at all?
Yeah, well, that's the Professor Longhair part. Professor Longhair was an influential pianist in New Orleans, and my main project these days, after Birdsongs of the Mesozoic, which was a very different thing, but Revolutionary Snake Ensemble is my main creative outlet these days, which is very influenced by New Orleans second line and Mardi Gras music, along with free improv and funk. So a couple of different areas that we're coming from. So I write music for that band occasionally, and this is one of the pieces I wrote for that band.
Great. So this is Got It.
I got it. I got it.
I got it. I got it. Okay, thank you. What's great about this, it's really good, finger snapping, foot stomping. I'm going to try to find a way to listen to this on the way home tonight. I got a 2-hour ride tonight. This is going to be great to listen to. That's awesome. So we got so much to cover. I mean, we're not going to probably be able to listen to a lot of any one of these, but I want to make sure that we give a good run for things here. And so before we get into the stuff that your wife wrote, or that your wife introduced you to on Sesame Street, there's another one here, Cassandra 4, What's the
Yeah.
backstory on that?
Well, that was another piece I did for Bridgman Packard Dance originally. They had
Uh-huh.
another project that I eventually did music for, a second project. Um, and it started out being a project based on the myth of Cassandra, who was cursed with knowing the future but having no one believe her, which
Mm.
maybe we can all relate to in some way.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
but
Well, we're not going to get into politics tonight.
no, no, Paul, I'm not. No, did I say anything? No.
No, I'm just teasing you. That's
um, so I wrote a whole bunch of pieces. Cassandra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. I wrote a whole
yeah.
bunch of pieces, and this was Cassandra 4. In the end, they decided, you know what? We're not going to do a piece based on Cassandra. We're going to do another piece entirely, which was called. Now I forget what it was called. But anyway, I wrote music for that. But all the Cassandra music got kind of thrown out the window. But I like it, and I like a couple of the pieces, Cassandra 4 and Cassandra 5, I've done with the Snake Ensemble. So this is a recording of the Revolutionary Snake Ensemble performing Cassandra 4. I'm very pleased with this piece.
Excellent. I know the later we'll hear Cassandra 5 too, but here's Cassandra 4. I love about this, I hear like a little bit of an Arabian influence in there too, or what would you call that? This kind of a
yeah, maybe.
almost like a Middle Eastern influence in there. But
Yeah.
by the
Yeah,
way, are you on Pandora?
I think so. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Possibly.
put that on my card tonight and see if I can get that playing. That's great.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's interesting. I took some lessons for a while with the great Charlie Banakis, the late great Charlie Banakis. And Charlie was a kind of legendary teacher of improvisation.
Yeah.
And he, there was usually a waiting list of 2 years before you could get lessons with him. So I took lessons with him quite a number of years ago. He's passed away since. But one of the things that he taught me was in bebop, Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie influenced music. There's a lot of focus on chromatic approaches to chord tones. And so he would give you these exercises where for every possible chord type, of which there are, of course, many, major triad, major seventh, dominant seventh, minor major seventh, all these different chord types, you would then practice, and in every key, all 12 keys, you would then practice a half-step approach from above to the first note of the chord, to the tonic. A half step from above to the third, or maybe a half step from above and then a half step from below to the third, or maybe diatonic from above and then a half step from below, or maybe two half steps, two notes from two half steps above to one half step from above to the note. And all these combinations, they're like, a huge number. Anyway, and, this would take you 5 lifetimes to actually do in all 12 keys on every chord type. But what I found after working on that is it got inside my head, and a lot of the melodies that you hear, for example, in Cassandra 4, utilize that methodology of approaching a chord tone from above chromatically, or from diatonically, from below, or both, or a combination. And I'm noticing that in my compositions, I do that a lot.
Yeah, it's almost subconscious, I imagine now. It's like
Yeah,
part of
yeah,
your
I think
brain and
so.
your, I never met him, but he's a legend. Everyone I talk to talks about Charlie Banakas. I did get to meet his lovely wife a few years ago, the widow,
Uh-huh.
and she's just wonderful too. So yeah, it's great to hear his name again. What
Yeah.
a legacy he left. So this next one is for Karen. Now this was your wife.
Hmm.
I thought we might play just a little bit of this. Do you want to remark at all? I think it starts out pretty quietly, so maybe I'll kick in about here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe a little before that, but
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So I will tell you that this one and the Cassandra 4 were recorded very impactfully, I'll say, at a session I had with a bunch of the musicians from the Snake Ensemble, Revolutionary Snake Ensemble, and some New York musicians in New
Hmm.
York. I had a few dates in New York in 2011 in May. Um, and I had that booked for a long time. And I booked some studio time at the trombonist Josh Roseman's studio in Brooklyn
Hmm.
as part of that weekend. Well, my wife Karen Aqua had been on and off dealing with cancer for 10 years at that point.
Mm. Oh boy.
And she had treatments, and then she went into remission, and
Mm.
everything's were good. And we had a lot of good times during that 10 years, a lot of travel. She made animated films. We went off to show her animated films in Sweden and Greece. We had a
Mm.
lot of good stuff. But at that point, I think it was in May. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I think it was early May. She had a little bit of an issue,
Mm.
and I was like, I'll cancel all these dates. And she said, no, no, you should go. You should go and
Mm.
do this. I'll be okay. We had some good friends who were in Cambridge to help her should she need it. So we went to New York. We did some gigs, and we went in the studio. And one of the things we did in the studio was that Cassandra 4. And
Hmm.
another thing we did in the studio was this fully improvised piece for Karen.
Ah.
And it was, as I say, fully improvised.
Hmm.
Didn't know what was going to happen. Started out with some percussion and bells, and it went on. And it really was so emotion filled, as you can well imagine.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and all the musicians, I had some great musicians. I had Kenny Wallison on percussion, and um, a great trombone player. Now I'm not going to remember people's names, but I had some amazing musicians, both from New York and from Boston, that joined me
Mm.
for this, and they all felt it. Um,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so that was
Okay.
this piece. It's a longish piece, but we'll hear a little bit of it. And I will
Yeah.
say that, sadly, but also, I don't know, Karen passed away at the end of May of that
Mm.
same month. So,
Oh my God.
you
Yeah.
know, that's what you're hearing.
Wow.
Maybe bring it up a little forward to that. No, I mean,
Okay.
that's good. That's good.
That's very cool. How sweet of her to say go and do those gigs. That's wonderful.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was. I imagine that was not easy for her to say, to tell you the
No.
truth. But
And you are a busy guy. My God, I should tell the audience I tried to reschedule this because I was going to be in an operating room all afternoon, and we looked at the schedule. He said, "Well, maybe Friday. No, I got a gig Friday. Saturday. I got two gigs Saturday. Like you're just full up with gigs right now. You have so much going on. So again, I very much appreciate your spending this evening with us because I know you got a busy schedule. So
yeah.
thank you for that. So let's talk about some of her stuff now. Are these animations that she did, or I know she was involved in Sesame Street, and you
Yeah.
were, yeah. So there's a couple of them. This one's called Animal Kid Alphabet.
Well, this is called. This is. What is this one called? This is called. Oh, gee. That's not really the name of it. I forget what the name of this one
Oh,
is.
it's not. Okay.
Pass along alphabet.
Oh,
Well, there's
okay.
a little story. So a couple things. So yeah, Karen had this great thing that she did. She got the opportunity to do animation for Sesame Street, and the producer at Sesame Street, and she asked me to do a lot of her soundtracks, which
Hmm.
was great. And the producer at Sesame Street, Arlene Sherman, who has passed away, said, don't talk down to the kids in the animation or the music. Do
Hmm.
what you do. So I wrote music that would maybe work for adults as well as for kids. And this
Huh.
piece, I remember Karen asked me to write something for this, and I went into the studio to record it, and she said, "No, that's no good. That's no good. No." And
Wow.
so we had 2 days scheduled for recording, and I went home and stayed up till like 2 a.m. writing a whole new piece.
Oh my God.
And this is the piece I wrote, and I'm very pleased with what happened, with the end result. It's there's 26 letters, and you can divide that into two groups of 12, which makes a plus sum, and that's 24, and then you add a couple more for the last two letters, and 12 bars is a 12-bar blues. So I could make it into a blues, and I recorded it all with saxophone and percussion, and then I added bass. And by the way, I want to mention that on one of those early pieces, we had the great Mike Rivard playing bass. I forget which one. I think it was the
Oh wow.
Bridgman Packard dance piece. Anyway, this
Oh,
is the Pass Along Alphabet.
okay.
And many of our friends were, we asked them for their kids she took photos of the kids and then pixelated them. So she took many photos that told the kid, okay, stand still. Okay, now move your arm a little bit up. Now move your arm a little bit further.
Oh my
A
God.
little bit
Wow.
further. She took all these photos, and then she animated those. So this young woman here is, I think, my niece, Emma. And there's a bunch of people, the kids of many of my musician friends, Jeff
Wow.
Robinson's kids, Jesse Williams' kids. So
How old is Emma now?
at least in her late 20s, I think. Yeah.
Oh,
So this was a
okay.
while ago. Yeah.
Here we go. I just want to say I'm laughing because my wife and I are trying to learn Italian, and this is probably about the level of cognition that we have so far.
Yeah.
We're like kids that are watching this. That's really the level we're at. By the way, I want to ask, how did you come up with the name of Revolutionary Snake Ensemble?
Well, our very first gig, I was asked with my friend trumpeter Scott Getchell, a very fine trumpeter, to play for a loft party in Cambridge. And it was a loft party put on by a group of women. I think it was a birthday party for the group of women called themselves the Snake Women. So Snake Ensemble and Revolutionary, I don't know. I always tell people that I think I had subconsciously, I was thinking about this very important free jazz group called the Revolutionary Ensemble. And so Revolutionary Snake Ensemble, but I didn't know it at the time. I just kind of came out of thin air.
Yeah.
That's where it came from. So Cassandra 5 was another one of the Cassandra pieces. And I'm not sure why, but I decided to write something in the time signature of 13 beats to the measure.
Oh, wow.
And it's divided up as 3-3-3-4. So 3 threes, which makes 9, and then 4, which makes 13. And what I wanted to do was kind of have this combination of Balkan music. There's sort of two main arms of popular brass band music, the Balkan and New Orleans. And so I wanted to sort of combine them. And I started out with the 3 bars of 3 being more kind of Balkan, I guess, I don't know. And then the bar of 4 at the end, I used a very typical New Orleans bass line, bum, 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 bum. Yeah. That's kind of a clave rhythm that you're playing just up a chord triad. Yeah. And so the 3 bars of 3 kind of get you to that point, and that's the bass line. So it's bum, 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 ba ba da ba bum, bum, bum. So you hear at the end, bum, bum, bum. It gets there in the bar of 4. That's the bass line. And then I wrote these crazy melodies on top. I don't, I play them back. And I'm like, where did this come from? I have no clue. How did I come up with this? It's just nutty. So I wrote 2 different alternate melodies. So in this piece, I don't know if we'll get to both of them. I play one melody and then I play the other melody.
I could jump ahead at some point, maybe to catch both. So
well, let's see if we might hear it. It goes by pretty rapidly.
Let's check this out. This sounds exciting. That is great. It reminds me a little bit of some Indian music where you have, 3 beats, then 4, then 7. They have a whole different variety. And what I love about your melody line is it crosses over all of that to give you this great, overarching feel that goes beyond just that undercurrent. So you get this really interesting weaving in and out, which is quite fun.
One interesting thing for me now is I'm just now starting to work with an oud player named Willie.
I'm sorry, what player?
Oud, O-U-D. Oud,
a
sort of a lute-like instrument from the Middle East that I think preceded the lute. His name is Walid Zahari, and he is from Tunisia, and we're doing a duo project. Now, the interesting thing is, and we wanted to do this piece, but the interesting thing is he tunes his oud up a half step. Is it up a half step or down a half step? Anyway, a half step away. So that means that I have to learn this whole melody a half step off, which I've been working on now for quite a while.
Wow.
So that's that.
Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about Om on the Range? I just love that
Oh,
name.
sure, sure. And I'll also mention that those tunes that we heard, the Cassandra tunes, the For Karen, those are all on the Revolutionary Snake Ensemble CD called Live Snakes. So it was all basically done live, even though that was in the studio. It was a live recording in the studio.
Now, what's the best way for them to buy that CD so that you get the most money out of it? Is you have a way to do it?
I have no idea how I get the most money, but they can, it's available online. I mean, if you go to my website, I think there are some links, kenfield.org,
Okay.
or go to revolutionarysnakeensemble.org. I don't know about the most money, but I think it's, if you just search for Live Snakes, Revolutionary Snake Ensemble, you'll find it somehow.
Excellent. Okay.
Om on the Range. So my very first composing residency was at well, actually it wasn't a residency. It was, Karen had a residency in Roswell, New Mexico. They were just for visual arts there, but I joined her, and this was one of the reasons I was working part-time at my computer job, because I went over there to be with her while she had a 6-month residency there, and they let me log in a couple hours a day to do my work using a dial-up modem and a Mac SE that they shipped to me. Anyway,
pretty advanced.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So while I was there, I asked if there was a place I could practice that had good acoustics, and this place you see in the image there, Subterranea cover of that album, was an underground structure that had this amazing acoustic quality, and was owned by the person that funded this artist in residence program, Don Anderson. We lost him a couple of years ago, but he said, you could use that while we're off at our home, and he was a wealthy guy, a home in England. And he gave me he said, talk to my groundskeeper and he'll give you the key. So I went in there for a couple of weeks and recorded, and rented a tape recorder, a multi-track, 8-track tape recorder at the time. This was before you could do all this in a computer. And some microphones. And I just recorded stuff, layered saxophones with improvised percussion, improvised instruments, actually, constructed instruments. And
is this something, I'm sorry, is this man-made that he did, or is it like historical stuff from the past in the cave or something?
This was something that an artist created. I forgot the guy who did this, but he commissioned this piece of art on his grounds. So I recorded basically this whole CD. I had Mike Rivard come in and do some stuff afterwards on bass on 1 or 2 of the tracks. But this one, I just recorded some percussion. It was pineapple juice cans that I played with my hands that I recorded several layers of that. And then I layered, and that was kind of fast. And then I layered very long saxophone lines. Basically, my constraint to myself was play a note as long as you can hold it with one breath, and then play another note. And so it starts out with all the same, I'm playing the same note over and over, G, I think, concert G on alto saxophone. And then I diverge. I don't know if we'll get to the point where I diverge into other notes, but every layer, I did the same thing. I just held the note for as long as I could hold it, and then went to another note and just did that improvisationally. So this
Should I jump about halfway through at some point to catch some?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this is Om on the Range. had no idea those were pineapple cans.
Yeah,
I
pineapple
thought
juice cans.
I thought that was just like a very tight bongo or something, but it was a great sound.
Yeah,
Love the
yeah.
rhythm on that.
With one side, all the top removed, the bottom removed, whatever. Top.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's where I get my percussion cred, from that track.
I love it. That's a great track.
Yeah.
Okay, thoughts unspoken.
Again, the same situation, recording in the what's called the henge, and this is I just played one whole time through on saxophone, improvised melodically, and then did, I don't know, 3 or 4, 2, 3, 4, I don't even remember how many, on top of that, and it's all improvised.
Mm. Sorry. God, I wish we could listen to all of these. I want to ask you, sometimes when you come up with a musical thought, is it always before you play the sax, or do sometimes you play it and things just come out?
Yeah, I think it's a combination, actually. Yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to say that I hear everything I play before I play it, but that would be a lie. There's a feedback thing that happens. I play something just by putting my fingers on the horn. I play a note, and that kind of inspires me to play the next note. And I've been playing saxophone long enough to, when I change my fingering to another note, I know what it's going to sound like before I do that. So I'm not just moving my fingers, but there's some amount of serendipity that something happens. Maybe I get something wrong. I didn't mean to play that note, but then I did. So then I work off of that.
Well, it's interesting. Sometimes when I compose a piece, my hands just kind of find a melody.
Yeah.
And I just let it work, and it's kind of fascinating to see how it's almost like a subconscious thing that's going on. But well, we have a bunch of stuff to go through. We probably don't have time to do all of this unless you want to go over by 10 minutes or so, which up to you. But
whatever. I'm happy to. I have time, but I do want to say one other thing, which is that I did this whole CD at the in Roswell, in the middle of the desert there in New Mexico, and I was able to interest OO Discs, a label that normally puts out pretty out stuff, and he liked it and decided to release it under that name, Subterranean. It's currently out of print, but you can find copies of it here and there, and it may be digitally available. I'm not sure, but then based on that, I got a residency, a composing residency at the UCross Foundation in Wyoming. And I was going to go out there and I was going to do the same thing. I was going to find a place to record with good acoustics and layer saxophones. And one of my co-members of Birdsongs of the Mesozoic, Michael Biarillo, I remember well, he said, you go out there with the same concept, you're going to end up with the same shit. And I'm like, you got a point there. And so instead, I wrote all of the next CD that I worked on at the residency at UCross on piano. And I'm not a piano player. Eric Lindgren's a piano player. I'm not a piano player, but I used the piano and I composed at the piano at UCross. And that was what resulted was my next CD, which is Pictures of Motion. So I don't know if we're going to hear something from there or not, but.
Is any of that, can you see the screen? Is any of that on here today?
Let's see. No, actually.
Oh my.
Don't think so. That's okay. It's out there. People want to hear it, they can hear it. What I think maybe, what are you thinking you're going to play next?
Well, I definitely want to end with Birds of the Mesozoic, but
Birdsongs,
these Birdsongs, I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these other five pieces, which ones do you want to focus on?
Well, let's. Actually, I'm not seeing what time. Oh, it's.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's five saxophones in search of meaning. I love that title.
Yeah, let's do that. That was
Yeah.
something I wrote a long time ago, and I actually. I'm not sure if I wrote it on paper or I just did it in the studio. That was for a project by this filmmaker named John Adams from England.
Huh.
And I think I recorded it in the studio. I came up with it in the studio, but I like the piece.
Oh, before we go, you mentioned Roswell, New Mexico. Is that the same Roswell of UFO fame, Roswell?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you see anything there while you were there?
No.
Okay. All right. Five saxophones in search of meaning. I have to admit, this begs the question: is the meaning at the end? Should we go to the end and hear what the meaning came out to be?
They're searching, baby. They're searching.
They're still searching right to the end?
Yeah, they're searching the whole time. We're still searching. We're still searching. Yeah.
Nice ending, though. I just love it. Okay. This next one you call Stream Breakdown, or Breakdown Part 1?
Breakdown Part 1, yeah. So this piece is interesting. So this is also from that session. There you see some of the musicians that were in New York with Alex Asher, trombonist, and Blake Newman and Danny Heath and Josh Roseman. I think that's Jerry Sabatini there. Some great musicians I was fortunate to play with. And we recorded a bunch of stuff, and some, one or two of the tracks, I'm like, it didn't really work. So what did I do? I took those tracks and I just kind of chopped them up and put them back together. And I took a bass line or I took a drum line and I just layered stuff on top of each other. And I just played around with it in the computer, which is fun and not something I typically do. So this is a totally constructed piece.
Interesting.
Yeah. So.
I have to admit, so these backstories are wonderful because I love the other piece with the pineapple cans, but didn't know they were on pineapple cans, and now I got a whole new appreciation for it. Okay, breakdown. Matching up everything and making it line up beat-wise, that must have been a challenge, huh?
Well, I worked with a great engineer, Andy Pinkham, who I've worked with for many, many, many years on all kinds of projects. And, you know, in Pro Tools, and you can change tempos, you can change keys, you could transpose stuff like for that. And so you can make stuff fit. And, you know, it was a lot of fun putting this piece together.
I know when I recorded a CD, I had some outtakes. I wanted to have little bits of stuff cut, you know, cut in or whatever, and I forget the terminology for that. And he was able to match up the sine wave down to the point where it was just seamless. It's just amazing.
It's incredible. Yeah.
How about this next one? This is live now. It looks like this is a Mardi Gras Party 2020. So this is just recently, not too long ago.
Yeah, this is a piece I wrote. The skunk is defunct. It's actually about an actual dead skunk that's defunct, but you know I spelled it defunct because it's funky. And this is the Revolutionary Snake Ensemble. This was we've been doing these Mardi Gras parties. This was at Regatta Bar. They have not reopened since pandemic.
Oh, wow.
This was in March, I think, right before everything, or February, I guess everything shut down. And is that right? 2021? I don't know. Anyway,
no, that's when you posted it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it was March of 2019, and we had Amadi Castanel joining us on saxophone. But otherwise, it's Dave Harris and Jerry Sabatini, me, Amadi, Tom Hall, Blake Newman on bass, and Phil Neighbors is back there on drums. So.
I love the gold lame jackets. It's a nice touch.
You got to have that, right?
All right, here's some of this. I love it. The skunk is defunct. Tell you, Ken, I love those shades on you. It's definitely a cool cat. It really comes across. You probably can't see anything though. You have to learn music by heart. Of course, it's your music, but I imagine it might be hard to read the.
No, I can see. I have a light.
Really? Okay. You want to do Just Walk Closer first?
Sure. So Just Walk Closer was a piece I wrote. Actually, I did this. Eric Lindgren might remember. And I do want to give some credit to Eric Lindgren and Birdsongs of the Mesozoic. I learned so much about composition by playing with Birdsongs of the Mesozoic and listening to how Eric wrote music. And you know, of course, I can't write music the way Eric can write music, but I learned a lot. So I just want to say that. But this was done originally for a project that Birdsongs did with a vocalist named Oral Moses. It was a project called Extreme Spirituals, where Birdsongs played these kind of out crazy backings to very traditional spirituals that Oral Moses sang. And I did an arrangement of Just a Closer Walk with Thee. But what I did was I took the melody and I deconstructed it. I took each melody note and I reassigned a different length to each note and a different, and then so the whole sequence of melody notes took a different amount of time and became a different melody, even though it was the exact same sequence of pitches, but the durations were all different. And so Oral listened to this and he said, what? That's, he's a traditionalist. So he was like, that doesn't make any sense at all to me. So we didn't do it for that. You didn't use it for that project, but subsequently I recorded it with Revolutionary Snake Ensemble with some counter lines. And So that's what this is.
All right. Just walk closer.
It has a little intro that just got an ambient intro. I forget how long the intro is. This is still improvised, just so you know. This is not the written piece.
Still kind of very spiritual in the way it moves.
This is the piece.
These backstories. It's just wonderful. It makes you really appreciate what you're doing here. So we got a few more. Let's see. We have Ruhain. What's the story on that?
Well, Ruhain is a piece. Actually, we did this with Birdsongs, but this is a recording with Revolutionary Snake Ensemble, and this was done as a tribute to Billy Ruane. I kind of respelled his name. Billy Ruane was a guy who supported music of all forms in Boston for many years. He had some resources, and he also had some, frankly, had some mental issues, and so he was a little bit crazy. And everybody knew him and loved him for both his generosity, his love for everyone, and his craziness. And so this is after he passed away in 2009, I believe. This was my way of recognizing Billy Ruane. Intro drum solo by Phil Neighbors.
Sure he would love that wherever he is. That's just great. That's great.
Yeah, you can.
So we're down to.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Not good.
I was going to say, yeah, he would be dancing with his overcoat and no shirt. That was
That's
a Billy
wonderful.
Ruane trademark. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I should try that look. That might be a new look for me here.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So the last one we're going to do tonight, just to wrapping up, and do you want to kind of introduce a little bit?
Yeah,
Backstory? Yeah.
well, this was a piece that didn't have a name, and we worked with a turntablist. Oh, just maybe, am I going to remember who it was? But he had an album with different sine wave with tones, and one of them was 100 cycles. So you'll hear, if we get to that point, you'll hear him play a little piece that says 100 cycles. And so that's the name of the piece. But this is a piece I wrote for Birdsongs, and Michael Biarillo, our guitarist and also sound designer, did a little backing track, a rhythmic track. So that's what this is.
Excellent. Here's some of that sine wave stuff in there. That's just
There
great.
it is. Yeah.
Oh my God. Thank you, Ken, so much. I could spend all night just listening to this stuff. And in fact, I know when I go home tonight, I'm going to put on Pandora and see if I can pull you up on that, because I need some high energy music to keep up awake tonight. But I know it's running a little late, so maybe
I will mention that I have a bunch of performances. I'm doing a lot of performances out on the Cape. I'm doing this project called the Symphony of Crickets with poet Charles Coe out on the Cape. I'm doing every Saturday night in Provincetown. I have a project called Revolutionary Funk at a place called The Club. But you can get all, if anybody's interested, it's all on kenfield.org. I'm also playing tomorrow night at Magazine Beach in Cambridge. The Revolutionary Snake Ensemble is playing from 7 to 8 at Magazine Beach for a full moon night as part of the Mass Audubon thing that they're doing there.
That's awesome. I guess we've really extended your time quite a bit. You've been very generous. Thank you so much. I mean, I just could probably ask you a million questions, but I guess the one that I still always love to ask is just where do you find your inspiration? How do you come up with a melody line? Is there anything that you could share with people that want to be composers that they could think about how to start with an idea and get from there, go to there?
Yeah, I sometimes I just fool around on the piano. Sometimes I just fool around on the saxophone. Sometimes something comes into my head. It really varies. Sometimes nothing comes into my head. Sometimes I just sit there and nothing. But and I think, like I say, I'm inspired by all the music I've had the opportunity to play. With Birdsongs, with Eric Lindgren, with other people.
I know one of my favorite Frank Zappa songs is something of the Regalia. It's like
Peaches and Regalia. Yeah,
Peaches and Regalia. Yeah, that's a great one. Oh, we got a question here from Eric. He said, so all the harmonies on Subterranean, were they improvised spontaneously or composed?
They were, well, depends on the one that we heard, the track that we heard, the two tracks we heard were both fully improvised.
Fully improvised, yeah. That's great. That's great. I interrupted you. I'm sorry. You're going to say something else, I think, about.
No, I was just going to say that, you know, things, what was I going to say? I did have something I was going to
Well,
say.
talking about how to get. One of the things you said is sometimes you don't know, you don't have any idea. I know
Yeah,
one of the things I do sometimes, I'll take a little couple of measures of a classical piece, and I'll try to wrap a whole other idea around that. So
yeah,
sometimes I'll just
yeah.
kind of steal, if you will, or borrow, or be inspired by a little bit of another idea. But
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. I
yeah.
mean, one of the pieces I wrote for Birdsongs is called "This Way Out." I stole the bass line from "We Got to Get Out of This Place,"
Uh-huh.
uh,
Okay.
and started with that. But a lot of times, I'll start with a bass line. I'll come up with some bass line.
Yeah.
A lot of these days, when I write for Snake Ensemble, I'm writing basically a melody line, a bass line, and chords.
Yeah.
And my sensibility in terms of harmonic structures is very simple. I minimize my chordal content pretty significantly. So I might just have a single chord, like on the Skunk is Defunct. It was mostly just a G vamp, but
Yeah.
I'll write a bass line and then I'll write a melody line, and that's counterpoint. You know, the bass
Mm-hmm.
line and the melody
Sure.
is counterpoint together, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of what I noticed a long time ago is that all these tunes that you love, it's the bass line. You know, My Girl, you know, it's the bass line.
Yeah.
A lot of those tunes, it's all about
Right.
the bass line. So writing a
Exactly.
bass line first, coming up with something interesting on bass, and then adding a melody to it, that's something that happens sometimes.
Now, did you say you've done some things for film or something like that? Some other media? I think you
Well,
suggested.
I did the work for my late wife, for Karen
Yes.
Aqua.
Yeah. Yeah.
She made has a whole series of, you know, about 13 independent animated films that she made. So I did a lot of
Yeah.
work for her.
Were they all kid related, or were some
No,
animations that
no,
were?
no, they
Yeah.
were not kid
Very
related.
cool. Is there a place we could see those by any chance? Do you know?
Well, yes, her work is on Vimeo. It's on Vimeo on demand. You have to
Uh-huh.
pay a small amount to stream them. But if you go
Okay.
to Karen Aqua, search for Karen Aqua and Vimeo, you'll have
Yeah.
access to her
Yeah.
films on Vimeo. She also has a website I put together, KarenAqua.com.
Oh, nice.
So
Well, Ken, thank you so much for your time. Eric, thank you for introducing me to Ken, because this has been a great 2 weeks for me listening to his music and just loving it. And this culmination of all that effort and prep, and really appreciate your time, Ken, and helping get this done. And
yeah,
I'm glad it all came together, even though I'm at work here. You can see the background, there's patents on things they worked on here. And I
I thought,
wasn't
yeah,
sure we
it
were going to get.
looks like you won a lot of awards back
I won
there.
a lot of awards, yeah. None of them are mine, but I'll
Yeah,
take
I want
credit where I
to
can.
thank you very much, Eric, for introducing me to Andrew and to Hillary. I just want to give a little shout out to CJ, who's here, and I don't know if I recognize other names, but thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about my work.
It's our pleasure. Hope you all see you again. Thanks a lot. Have a great night. And please listen to Ken's music. It's awesome. Enjoy it. Thank you, Ken, for all you do.